feelings about dark money and how it influences politics and whether or not it could be causing the polarization, what you think can be done about it. And then, of course, tell us what the goal of the people is and what you guys are doing. So just talk and we'll do whatever we do. We'll do our magic.
Take it
Awesome.
away.
Well, it's great to be with you, Rocco and Talina. I think we're all of us right now standing in the breach, really, of making sure that our country begins to work together. I think that's the big thing. You say folks who pray together stay together. I feel like a country who works together stays together. And
Right.
so the work that we have to do is first really just start to listen to each other and hear each other and see each other as humans who all care about some similar things. But then to figure out where are the areas that we could, as citizens, have the biggest impact on repairing our relationship with our government. I think we also obviously in the first part will be hopefully working on repairing our relationship with each other, but repairing that relationship with the government, there are a lot of areas that we all can point to that have corrupted that relationship, and money is definitely one of them. Money can mess up family relationships, it can mess up business relationships, it can mess up all kinds of relationships, as we know.
Yeah.
But in America, unfortunately, the way our decisions get made in our government sadly flow from the money. You know, the famous line in All the President's Men, follow the money. It becomes the source for all the campaign work that all these elected officials need to do. So they need money in order to run their campaigns, and they need votes. So if you want to, we can talk all about where they're going to find votes in primaries and how they, do that. But as far as finding money, they really only get money from in large quantities from a few places. One of them is from corporations. One of them from another bucket would be special interest groups. And then the other is very wealthy individuals. They don't get any money just from regular everyday Americans. And that's what needs to change. And we have to figure out how to do that. And there's different ways to do that. But without getting into those details, I think one of the other crucial things is that we need to understand exactly where the money's coming from. It's hard to change these rules until you understand that and start figuring out, oh, well, what percentage is coming from here and what percentage is coming from there. So the issue of dark money is really just a transparency issue where you have lots of, again, organizations, corporations, individuals who are pumping millions and millions of dollars into the coffers of elected officials to influence their behavior and their votes and the legislation that they pass. So if this is a little bit of a technical thing, but there are people have probably heard of nonprofits, like a 501c3 nonprofit, which interestingly, those nonprofits, which the people is a 501c3, but we're also a 501c4. If you don't do any kind of political advocating, you can be a 501c3. So if you're just educating people about things, but you're not actually, advocating for a specific policy change, 501c3 nonprofits have to reveal exactly who gave them that money. And 501c4, when you actually start advocating for specific legislation, those organizations do not have to reveal where they got the money, which is kind of a little bit backwards in a way. You'd think, like, actually, if you're doing kind of the benign activity of just educating people, maybe it's not as important to know exactly where the money came from. But still, I think in all cases you should. So I think it's actually a good thing that even the nonprofits do need to reveal that. But if you're advocating for legislation, you definitely should be revealing where your money's coming from and who the sources are. So all the super PAC money, which is happening on both sides. So this is not just a Democrat thing or a Republican thing. Both sides are taking massive amounts of unregulated money that can come in again, the super PACs have no restrictions on limits, so they can get $1 million check. When you're giving to a specific campaign or a specific candidate, there are restrictions and limits on those. But this has to stop. It has to stop. We need to end the super PAC domination in our political system, and B, we have to stop this idea that there can be kind of hidden sources of money. We need to put sunlight on it, transparency on it, so then we can start to root it out. I think until we really know where it's all coming from, it's hard to change these rules. So this is a big deal, and I think all Americans agree that dark money is bad, and that it corrupts the system and leads to a world where big corporations, big special interests, wealthy people are essentially running the show by manipulating a bunch of elected officials who are so desperate for their money, they essentially go along with them.
I read where that some of the nonprofits, they will get big donations from corporations, and these corporations will say, we will donate X amount of money to you if you will donate X amount to this politician. So it's actually being funneled through nonprofits that don't have to disclose. And maybe if we change the rules up on the 501c4s to where they are required to disclose their donors, that might help with the transparency issue ultimately. So maybe the focus should be on working to do that. I mean, do you think that would be anything we could do as civilians?
So this is where the people comes in. So in order for us to start changing these rules, we need what I'm calling I hate to use militaristic terms, so using things like Army, let's call it a network or a team. We need a network or a team of willing citizens from all political backgrounds, not just, we need a comprehensive team from all different corners who are willing to work in the states to begin changing many of these rules, because the citizens have power in the states through citizen referendums to write their own laws. Citizens can't write their own laws at the federal level. That's not the way it works. But in 25 states, which is half the country, citizens can write their own laws. And just by getting signatures on a petition, there's a certain number you have to get in a certain period of time, and then you can write your rule, and then you put it up for a referendum, and then it gets voted on by the people in that state, and it gets passed. So this is kind of our hack to the system. So if we can start changing these rules, just like you just said, in a whole number of states, what happens is the federal government then starts to see the writing on the wall, and they then want to take credit for it. So then they pass it nationally. So they need to see that the people really care, and the people aren't messing around. The people are kind of fed up with this thing in order to eventually pass this at a federal level. So that's the idea with the people, is to get organized state by state, create these networks, figure out which rules we want to change. So we have to have a big, massive conversation about it and a process to figure out which rules to change, and then go in each state and then do a similar process in each state and say, okay, here's the network, here's the rule we're going to change. Let's get the signatures, let's get on the ballot, and let's win it.
Okay, so let's say that I am a new person to the people, never heard of the people before. If I go and sign up as a member of the people, do you guys actively offer training for somebody like me who wants to get involved in my home state? And I want to be able to be like boots on the ground for the people and try to help with those citizens referendums that you talked about. Do you guys actively offer something like that?
So I'm glad you posed it that way, because that's so crucial into kind of bringing somebody in who's excited and interested, but needs to get educated and then trained to be either a leader or a foot soldier. Sorry, I'm using the wrong analogies again. But that's crucial. But the truth is, right now, with where we are as a group and as an organization, is we're just in the formative stages. We've created our governing body that Talina is part of, and we are in the process of raising the funds to really build out a web platform that would allow us to do all those things. The truth is our team right now is just growing, and we're in the middle of trying to plan a national meeting to galvanize a lot of citizens like yourself who would be interested in doing that. But we have a little chicken and egg thing where we need a lot of Americans to get interested and excited about this so that we can then raise enough money to build the web platform, the team. It's not hundreds of millions of dollars, but it's probably, it's millions of dollars to do all that. So we're in the process of doing that. And it did get slowed up. I'll be honest, it got slowed up because of COVID and because it just got a lot harder for us to focus the country and focus the donors out there on this kind of work. But with what happened on January 6th, I feel like it really was a wake-up call to everybody that this thing's fragile. This is not, our democracy is not guaranteed. This republic that was created, and as Ben Franklin said, it's, we created a republic if you can keep it. And that's what's happening right now. We need to kind of wake up as a citizenry. We need to get on the same page, and we need to build this, but we are going to need some funding. And so getting the word out, both the regular citizens like yourself who would love to get involved, and then also, and eventually what would be awesome is once we get this really built, have it be funded just by the people. Like if we had millions and millions of people involved, we could do $10 donations. You look at some of the big campaigns out there, whether it was Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders, they were getting tons of money in small donations. So instead of giving money to candidates, let's give money to the American people who are getting organized to go change these rules ourselves.
Coca-Cola learned that. I was talking about that last night. Coca-Cola had announced that they were going to stop giving money to candidates, and they're going to focus on donating to organizations that wanted to focus on common ground. So I think that that's important that everybody start doing that. We all want to get united together under one umbrella, and that is just to find common ground and learn to work together. Rocko leans left, I lean right, but we both agreed that there's serious problems in our status quo right now that we all need to come together and find ways to combat this. And we know that your little citizen referendum hack worked because your executive director made it happen in Michigan with gerrymandering. We got Katie Fahey, who basically changed those laws in Michigan just by getting out boots on the ground and petition signed. So it works.
It can happen, and it can happen. Like I said, you don't need a bunch of elites to do it. We just need citizens who care enough, and then a plan. And you're right, Katie Fahey, she's a political independent. She'd never done anything like this before. She put out a Facebook post, and 2 years later, they had amended the Constitution in Michigan and ended gerrymandering. As everybody knows out there, but gerrymandering has been a 200-year-old problem where essentially the politicians, every 10 years, whoever's in power in that state, they draw the districts.
Right.
It's crazy that the politicians get to pick the voters. Obviously, they're then going to create these crazy districts to pick their voters just so that they make sure that they're going to win. And the Democrats have done it, the Republicans have done it, and it's just one of those rules that's always been around. And it's the same stuff with we just have to kind of have an upgrade. We need every 100-year upgrade of our political rules. And there's a lot of unintended consequences, and things have just gotten incredibly competitive and cutthroat. It's really cutthroat. We need to do some rejiggering.
It's amazing. The Constitution is a living document, which means that the purpose of a living document is so it can be amended. But we haven't really amended it in years, and we've changed so much. So there's options out there for us to improve, but it's just not being taken advantage of, I think.
Well, I'm so impressed with you guys doing this. I love the political balance, and I love that you're having conversations that sometimes could be controversial, but once people talk them through, they're like, well, it's not that controversial. It's kind of human nature that people try and get away with stuff if they can. Well, we have to figure out how to keep people honest, keep these organizations honest, corporations. This is what we should be doing in a democracy, is having these conversations and finding solutions, and have the American people be the ones driving the bus, to use another analogy.
How do people sign up? How do everyday citizens, they're hearing what you say, they're interested in joining the people, how do they join the people? Where do they go?
Well, you can go to thepeople.org, and we are also, if you go there, I know we're making some alterations in the near term to get everybody involved in planning this national meeting that we're in the process of doing right now. So if you want to get involved in those national meetings, which we're going to be doing, a lot of it's going to happen online, because the idea of having millions of people meeting, whether it's online or in Starbucks or in churches or in schools, like we're going to have a very robust structure for that. And we want regular citizens to help design it, because it's a little bit like building a school and not involving students or teachers in how you design the school. So if you send an email, so I know you can go to the website, but sometimes when people are navigating the website, it's tough. You can just send an email to join@thepeople.org, join@thepeople.org, and say, I would love to help plan the national meeting. I want to help plan the national meeting. We'll respond to you. We'll let you know when the next planning meetings are. And we can take hundreds of people and put them into the right place and the right committees to help us plan this national meeting. So if you're hearing this right now and you have time, you have the passion, send an email to join@thepeople.org and help us plan this national meeting. We want the meeting to culminate in presenting some documents and our plans and our blueprint for reform next January 6th, 2022 at the Capitol. We want to come back and have a demonstration of democracy in how it should be a year from now. So be part of that.
And also, if they have the passion but don't have the time, where can they make the donations on thepeople.org?
Yep, you can also make a donation if you want to be a small dollar donor to fight dark money. We'll reveal exactly who you are, so everybody knows you gave $5 or $10. So yeah, we would encourage you to pitch in.
Well, I think that answered all my questions. Rocco, you have anything else?
I think I'm good. I'm super excited about this. I cannot wait for us to put this episode together.
Great.
Awesome.
I appreciate you being part of it, Andrew.
Well, send me a copy and look forward to doing more in the future.
Great. Thank you so much, Andrew, for your time.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Okay.
That's great.
Let me
I told you.
stop recording. Hang on.